The show you are about to listen to may contain themes of violence, occult activity, strong language, and other sensitive material. Viewer discretion is advised, as well as a trigger warning. We strive to tell stories in a truthful manner, but press, media, and other sources cannot be verified. Sources can be found in the show notes. Hello, guys, and welcome to the second episode of Brain Soup. My name is Bria.
And I'm Tegan.
And this is our little show. Week 2.
Week 2, how crazy.
How crazy. And we're going.
We are going, and we're excited to keep doing this. Today's episode is going to be dealing with the murder of children. So a little warning for you to click off if you would like to, because this case is something else. I should say that this is a murder case investigation type thing. I found this through Sam and Colby, surprisingly.
Really? Surprisingly?
Well, with me, no. There are many videos and documentaries on this case, even a movie. This case does have very many twists and turns, and it's very gruesome, so I advise you to be aware, because there may be some graphic talk about what happened to these people. Just wait.
Just be warned.
Just be warned, because it is not good.
Well, shall we get started?
We shall. So, this case is known as the Villisca Axe Murders. This begins on Sunday, June 9th, 1912. This case involves the Moore family, which has Josiah Moore, which is the father, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. The evening before the murders occurred, the family went to a children's day at their local church. And the family was accompanied by some neighbor kids named Lena and Ina Stillinger, who were neighbors of the family.
Okay.
So, the Stillinger children were asked to stay the night with the Moore children after the service due to an event that was going on in the town with the power not being on. I found that out through Sam and Colby.
Okay.
So there were, how do I put this? There was like a fight going on between the state and the power company of some sort, and it was during the summertime.
Okay. Oh.
Which is not the correct time to...
No, but also this was 1912, too.
True.
So they probably didn't have, they would have to suffer, unlike us in the summertime.
Right.
And stuff.
So the kids didn't want to go walk home in the dark. So that is
no
self-explanatory.
Did they have streetlights in 1912?
They did.
Okay. I wouldn't want to walk home in the dark either.
No, especially...
I don't want to walk in the dark now, period.
Right. Especially with this church service getting done at like 9:30 at night.
Yeah. I
would ask to make sure that I could stay with somebody.
I would too.
Especially if they're neighbors. Everybody knew everybody in that town since it was in Villisca, Iowa, so it's a smaller town.
That's good.
Everybody knew everybody. I think there was like 2,000 people in that town.
Okay.
The service was an end-of-year program for the church, and at this event, Sarah, who was the mom, was a co-director where her children, along with the others, would recite speeches and such.
Okay.
And as well as like normal like church like end-of-year type things.
Music, speeches.
Yeah. Just a fun time,
Yeah.
They finished their evening at home, then went to bed. The next morning, Mary Peckham, a neighbor of the Moore family, noticed that the family was not outside doing their normal routine.
Okay.
Which, that is pretty self-explanatory in a small town.
Yeah. You pay attention.
If your neighbors aren't out and around, something's up.
And what time was this?
About 8 in the morning, 7:30, 8, I want to say. Earlier in the morning.
Yeah.
And they were normally out and about doing their own normal chores and such. So Mary was concerned and got a hold of Joe's brother.
Okay.
Who, his name was Ross. Once he got the call, he came over around 8 a.m. to notice that the family was not answering the door for him either.
Okay.
So he looked at all the windows and doors to see if he could see anyone, but all the curtains were shut, which, why would you have your curtains drawn in the morning? You would want all the natural sunlight. So he used his key to then run back to instruct Mary to call the sheriff.
The sheriff.
So what he saw was absolutely shocking. This is where it starts to get maybe a little...
Graphic.
Not too graphic yet, but getting close. While he was in the downstairs area, he came across 2 figures with a sheet in the back bedroom. He also saw blood on the bedstand. So there was 2 separate beds. One of the bodies was in one bed, one of the bodies was in the other.
Okay, as it is in the 1912s.
Yeah. The marshal, Henry, or Hank, is what they called him, Horton, had come by after receiving the call from Mary around 8:30 a.m. Hank went through the house and came to say somebody murdered in every bed. The murder weapon was found partially cleaned and was leaning against the south wall of the downstairs bedroom where Ina and Lena were found.
Okay.
All 8 people in the house were brutally bludgeoned with an axe shortly after midnight.
Whew. Whew.
And that's not even
No.
the scene.
I don't like the thought of axe murders.
No.
I don't like the thought of any murder, period.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like, I don't know. I can just picture, like, the Lizzie Borden pictures when I picture axe stuff. And axe murders are probably, they're, like, I don't even know, the funnest to learn about, but, like, the queasiest.
Yes.
They make you feel the most queasy because that's somebody getting chopped up.
Not only
Like,
one, but
yeah,
8
people getting chopped up.
6 of them are kids.
Babies.
From
Again.
ages, I think, 13 to 5.
Oh, no.
I think Lena was the oldest, and I think she was 12 or 13.
Okay.
That is insane to me.
It's horrible.
It's awful.
I get chills thinking about it. I don't like axe murders, period. Like I said, no murder is good, but axe murders are the most kind of the gruesomest.
By far.
Yeah.
Especially with the 2 younger neighbor girls who were in the bottom bedroom, which is where the axe was found, over by their bedroom.
Okay, yeah.
The parents and the 4 children were upstairs. So the parents were in one room and the 4 kids were in another.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I've seen, like, a picture of kind of how the house, there's a floor plan of how the house is set up. And it kind of has, like, a mark. I'll put it in the Instagram, small plug. Follow us on Instagram at Brain Soup Podcast. We post
And
pictures.
Twitter.
Yes, we post pictures of each case there when the podcast gets posted.
So now to talk about the scene. This is where it starts to get graphic, so trigger warning. It was said that the killer of the family had touches to the scene, which is not uncommon amongst murder scenes. One of them was a slab of bacon wrapped in a towel that was leaning against the wall next to the axe on the bottom floor next to the Sillinger girls' room. The other was that all the drawers of the house were open so that the killer could cover the mirrors around the house. So he took sheets and clothes and all that stuff to cover all the curtains, all the mirrors in the house.
Okay.
So it's also, like, one, I could see you closing all the curtains and stuff so you're not caught, obviously, but in the middle of the night, why cover the mirrors as well? Is it like a guilt thing?
I don't know.
Because that's where a lot of the suspect thing comes into this too, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Also in the kitchen, a plate of uneaten food was found along with a bowl of bloody water. This killer, after he committed the murders, decided to make a plate of food.
He said, let's get cozy in here. And have some brekkie.
Reminisce on what he did.
Yeah.
It's like, huh?
How chilling in the house with the people you just killed. That's horrible.
It's
That's
awful.
icky.
And it gets worse. Cigarette butts were also found at the scene, and it was said that the killer spent quite a lot of time in the house, even after the killings, obviously because he made food. But each of the 8 victims were found in their beds covered in sheets, with their skulls being bashed 20 to 30 times after the initial killing.
No.
So he went twice. He killed them all and then went again to bash him again 20 to 30 times. So they were unrecognizable.
Imagine if this was like, this goes back to the cigarette butts. Imagine if this was in our time, they would have had it there. But because this was so, long ago, people didn't know. We didn't have the DNA testing that we do now. So that's why this kind of, went.
With the axe, even, they weren't even killed with the sharp
sharp end, no.
They were killed with the blunt end of the axe.
Yeah.
Only one was struck. And I've seen both ways. I've seen it was either Sarah or Joe that were hit with the actual, sharp side, would you say, of the axe?
Yeah. There's a sharp and then a blunt.
So they're all hit with the blunt, I would assume, just to knock them out first, and then just go for it.
Anything swinging at you can, not, especially if it's metal, can knock you out cold. So.
And even today in the house, you can see the marks in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Where the axe would strike the wall.
Mm-mm.
They have not patched them. They are all still there.
Yeah.
The axe was found in the room where the Sillinger girls were staying, and that indicates that the girls were the last to be killed.
Okay.
First was the parents, then the children, last being the Sillinger girls.
Okay.
This is where it starts to get graphic, like really graphic, and this is a big trigger warning for, I would say, sexual tendencies, maybe? Would that be the way to put it?
I think it would be, yeah.
So it was said that the only one to have defensive wounds was Lena, and she was alleged to have it on her arm. Another thing was that when Lena was found, her nightgown had been pushed up and was left exposed. Seminal fluid was found at the scene, and that is where the slab of bacon comes to the scene. He used that to pleasure himself next to a chair looking at the bed where Lena was killed. So he had her positioned and then began to pleasure himself with a lamp by the bed. It's messed up.
That's vile.
It's disgusting.
I
This girl was barely a teenager.
Yes.
Let alone a child.
That's vile.
It is disgusting. The doctors did say that Lena was not sexually abused, though.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
This is where the trigger ending
Okay.
is gone. The axe that was used in the murder ended up being Joe's axe that was in the yard.
Okay.
Before the murders were committed. And after the crime was fully committed, another piece of evidence was found that it was his axe.
Okay.
It was found, I think, in the backyard.
Yeah. That sounds
the killer found it. Well, it would be.
It would be in the backyard.
The axe would be in the backyard. So, who did this?
Who done it?
Or was it more than one person? Did somebody commit the murder and then somebody else go in
and,
did some disgusting crap?
Fool around.
So,
all right.
The suspects are the state senator, who was Frank F. Jones, William Blackie Mansfield, Reverend George Kelly, or Henry Lee Moore.
Okay.
So, Frank F. Jones was a state senator, and Josiah worked for Jones for several years before he opened his implement company in 1908.
Okay.
So they became business competitors, and they wouldn't even, if they were on the same road together, they would walk either way. They wouldn't even look at each other.
So they were bitter.
Yes.
They were very bitter.
Very bitter. Because Jones was extremely upset that Joe had left his company.
Yeah.
And managed to take every John Deere franchise with him.
John Deere?
It was a farming town.
It was a farm, yeah.
Iowa.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like Iowa.
Sounds
like Iowa.
And it was also said that Joe had an affair with Jones's daughter-in-law.
Oh. That's not good.
No. And one of the detectives later on, Detective Wilkerson of the Burns Detective Agency, openly accused Frank and his son Albert of hiring William Mansfield to kill Joe. Jones was never arrested and denied any connection to the murders.
Okay, so people in the town are making their accusations, kind of?
Yeah. Well, it's a small town.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. Everybody was a suspect at some point.
Absolutely.
Especially when after, I think not even really much hours after the scene.
Yeah.
People were walking in and out of the house handling the axe.
Yes. Evidence tampering.
Yep, evidence tampering.
Read about that. And yeah, it was a different time, but still, that's common sense. I feel like it is common sense that you shouldn't be touching the things from a scene. Like, I read that people were lined up outside of, like, the house.
Going in and out.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out who committed the murder.
Yeah. God.
Yep. Then comes William Blackie Mansfield. He was the prime suspect of the Burns Detective Agency.
Okay.
And Detective Wilkerson. And he was said that the murders were committed by Mansfield but hired by Frank F. Jones. So he was basically Jones's hitman. So if Jones were to have done it, he wouldn't have the blood on his hands. It would be Blackie.
Mansfield Blackie.
Mansfield was also known as George Worley and or Jack Turnenbaugh. So he had multiple
aliases.
Multiple aliases. And Wilkerson said that he was a cocaine fiend and serial killer.
Huh.
Coming from a detective.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah. Wilkerson also believed that he was responsible for axe murders of his wife, infant child, father-in-law, and mother-in-law in Blue Island, Illinois on July 5th, 1914, which was 2 years after the Villisca Axe Murders, as well as the axe murders committed in Paola, Kansas, 4 days before the Villisca Axe Murders, and the murders of Jenny Peterson and Jenny Miller in Aurora, Colorado.
There's a lot of axe murders going on around this time.
Yeah.
Why is that such a hot
serial killer?
Yeah.
If they have their own thing.
They do, and that was his little trend.
And this is my next note, is that each of these murders had the same MO.
Okay.
So it kind of puts two and two together that this guy could have actually potentially done it.
Yeah.
And with the scene, the killer avoided leaving fingerprints of the seed, so he used gloves.
Okay.
So he was smart on what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
And it was said that Mansfield had fingerprints on file at the federal military prison at Leavenworth by Wilkerson. So if this guy had a record, they would have had to print him. So
they knew who he was.
Yes. And he did have an alibi of payroll records in Illinois. So he was in Illinois at the time of the Villisca murders.
Okay.
So he technically, by that, he really didn't do it.
Yeah.
But even then, there could be ways around that.
Yeah. Okay. So Wilkinson is the sheriff.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. He's a detective.
Detective.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, who is this man? But, yeah.
I think he was in Kansas. So he was trying to, I don't know what he was doing. I think he was just trying to weasel his way into a case.
Yeah.
But I really don't think that this guy did it.
No. If he had payroll records in Illinois, unless somebody covered for him.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Another tie to the case is that this killer was left-handed. But it was never said if this guy was left-handed or not.
Okay.
But you can easily just change hands.
Yeah.
But during an axe murdering thing, you would think you would use your dominant hand.
Yeah, your dominant arm to swing.
Yeah.
Because it's not, I'm right-handed. My left arm is so weak that, like, I can't do anything with it.
I'm ambidextrous, but I am more dominant in my right hand for, like, sports and stuff, but I write and eat and stuff with my left.
Okay.
So my right arm is default stronger.
Yeah. So I don't think you could be swinging an axe very.
Because axes are heavy.
Axes are. Okay.
So, next suspect.
Next one.
The next two are like the main suspects of the case. So, here we go with Reverend George Kelly. He was the prime suspect in this case.
Okay.
Kelly was invited to attend the Children's Day exercises at the church where the Moores and Stillingers were. The same dang day.
The same day.
That they were there at the church service.
Okay.
His presence in Villisca on the night of the murders and his subsequent departure in the early morning of June 10th made him a prime suspect in the case.
Mm-hmm.
So he left Villisca, I think, at like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Around there. And I don't even know when they said that they got there, but he was there at the church.
Okay.
He attended a Sunday school performance of the Stillinger Girls before leaving.
Okay.
Which, if he did do it, that would give him a connection to
the
Lena.
Girls. Yeah. Yeah.
Which could be why he left him for last.
Absolutely.
He had suffered a mental breakdown as an adolescent, and he was, I think, schizophrenic.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
At 5:19 a.m. the morning following the murders, the Reverend George Kelly left Villisca on board of the westbound number 5 train and allegedly told fellow travelers that there were 8 dead souls back in Villisca, Iowa. Huh.
Yeah.
So he basically outed himself?
Yeah.
You would say?
Yeah. He sounds like quite the loon.
But
otherwise.
He gets worse.
Yes.
2 weeks after the murder, he continues to return to Villisca after leaving, posing as a detective. So he went to the house, again, with other investigators.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knew he wasn't a detective, so he passed.
Yeah, they didn't even question him.
No,
they were just
didn't
like,
question him.
there's
They were
this guy.
He's like, okay,
Yeah.
he can be there.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. On August 31st at 7 a.m., Kelly signed a confession to the murder, saying God had whispered to him, "Suffer the children to come unto me."
Huh. Huh. This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's quite a player in this.
He is.
He was all over the scene.
All over.
Yeah.
The thing that he went back
He did.
to maybe relive what he did that night.
Yeah.
He tried to recant his statement, and the jury let him go for lack of evidence. So he was captured.
Yeah.
But they let him go
Yeah.
because of lack of evidence. But he has all of the
talking.
signs.
Yes,
It's
and
like,
he was
what?
talking major stuff all over the town about this. And he signed a confession too, which, I mean, confessions aren't, but he went on that train and confidently said that day that there were the 8 souls, was it, in Villisca or whatever it was. So he went on that train confidently and was like, here's this. Yeah.
And he was a notorious peeping Tom.
Okay.
So for work, he would try to get people to do work for him, but in return, he would try to get people to get naked for him.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
It
he
is
would look
disgusting.
in people's windows. He would go into bathrooms trying to look at people. I'm like, ew.
What is wrong?
What is wrong with this dude? He would put classified ads in newspapers hoping to find a young secretary who would work for him. So, and that's what he would do.
Okay.
He would try to get people to do stuff for him and try to get sexual favors in return.
But people were like, no, which
No.
good on them because...
Good on them.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
He's a gross guy.
It sounds like a gross guy.
And he had a bad rep all around, obviously. And he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia when he was in the mental hospital. So, yeah. He wrote the letter to authorities saying that he expected at any time to be arrested for the murders that happened in Villisca.
Yeah.
And he was left-handed.
He was left-handed. Wow.
So all signs point to Kelly, right?
Yeah. See, I'm definitely on the Kelly train with this.
Mm-hmm.
Because this guy had issues. And what gets me is going there and posing as a detective.
Yep.
Like,
Which isn't uncommon among serial killers.
no. They like to relive what they've done. They think it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
So.
They get joy out of it.
They do.
And it's gross.
And pleasure.
Yeah. Even more gross.
Yeah.
But there is one more prime suspect in this case.
Another suspect.
So, Henry Lee Moore. He was actually convicted of the murders of his mother and maternal grandmother in Columbia, Missouri, just months after the murders in Villisca.
Okay.
So, another axe murder, actually. So, the Moore family was killed just as brutally as the people he killed in the previous quote. So both of the groups of families were killed with an axe.
Okay.
So we got another
axe murder.
But this guy is actually, from what I've learned from him, he is actually like a German. I don't know if he was a German immigrant, but he is German of some sort.
Okay.
And he travels everywhere.
Okay.
In 1900, Henry was living with a family in Franklin County, Iowa, and working as a farmhand. It is suspected that Henry may have fathered a child with the young daughter of the farmer. Henry was sentenced to the Kansas State Reformatory in Hutchinson, Kansas, on a forgery charge and was released April 11, 1911. The murders in Colorado Springs occurred in September of the same year. Testimony during Henry's trial indicated that he had lived with the mother and grandmother during the winter of 1911 and the summer of 1912. So he left to take a job on the railroad.
Okay. Okay. So the summer of this whole case happened in the summer of 1912.
The Villisca.
That's when the Villisca. That's when.
Yep, that was in June.
Yep, that was in June.
So this was before.
Yeah.
During the Villisca investigation, other axe murders also came to light. Just 9 months before the crime in Villisca, H.C. Wayne, his wife and child, and Mrs. A.J. Burnham, and her 2 children were bludgeoned with an axe in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Whoa.
A month later, in October of 1912, a family was killed in Monmouth, Illinois. And just a week later, 5 members of a family in Ellsworth, Kansas were murdered as they slept, just a week before the killing of the Moores and Salingers in Villisca. A man and his wife were killed in Powell, Kansas. The similarities in the crimes were striking.
Axe murders were just in the air.
I guess so.
They were handing out axe murders left and right at this time. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Axes were accessible.
Yeah.
That sounded so wrong to say.
But it's
true. They were just there. I feel like, axes in this time were a very common household item.
Yeah.
For these families,
Especially in a farming town.
Yeah.
You would need an axe to
And
work on a farm.
this is Kansas, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado's popped up a few times.
Yeah. But you see, everywhere.
Yeah,
it's kind of surrounding Iowa.
It is.
Because you got an Illinois, you got a Iowa, you got a Colorado, and you got a Kansas.
You do. It was just floating around in the air.
And that was just what was named. There could have been more that weren't even notified, too.
Yeah, definitely.
So, this is where I get really, intrigued in the case, is the paranormal aspect.
Okay.
That's where I found it through Sam and Colby, because they investigated the actual house itself.
Yeah.
With, I think 2 of their friends. Seth Borden, who is actually a distant relative of Lizzie Borden.
Oh.
So, highly suggest checking that video out. It's really, really cool. Sam and Colby's video evidence did not conclude a set-in-stone killer.
Okay.
But the majority of the evidence led to Henry Lee Moore.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in the actual video itself, it says they use a spirit box using the assist method, which is you would use a spirit box, connect headphones to it, and you would put it on as loud as you can so your sensory indications, I would say, are focused more towards what you're listening to, because you can't focus on what's around you. And the group around them was asking them questions. I think Sam was the one that was doing the actual assist method at this point. And they asked the question, I don't remember exactly what it was. And Sam said, Reverend.
Okay.
So it's just weird to me.
Yeah.
Because there was other things in this house, like, after the fact. I think, was it Kelly that said that something influenced him to potentially do it?
Yeah. Kelly said that God had told him, I don't remember, God, suffer the children to come unto me.
So does he think that he was possessed by God at this point?
Yeah.
Well, he was a reverend, so
Yeah.
he was Catholic. So he could have thought that, but where this gets really weird is in 2014, there was a paranormal investigator that went into the house alone.
Okay.
And he was in the Stillinger bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
He was tormenting a spirit. He was trying to get information out of the spirit that he was talking to.
Yeah.
But something possessed him to stab himself.
Oh my God.
Yep. So he stabbed himself in the chest. He survives.
Okay.
But he does not remember anything that really happened.
Oh, wow. See, I'm very skeptical on paranormal stuff normally. I believe that there are some type of spirits, but I would never go play with this stuff. I'm not like, what's his name from BuzzFeed Unsolved? I can't remember.
His name?
Why can't I remember
Shane.
his name? I'm not a Shane. I wouldn't go like bounce around on anything.
No.
Like, but it's not something I grew up believing in or really believe in. But it's interesting to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely is interesting to learn about.
Yep. He doesn't really remember. Something got him to stab himself.
That's crazy.
So, is there an underlying demon in the house that is possessing people to do this stuff?
Okay.
You never know.
Okay.
Because why would you be being aggressive towards a spirit?
Yeah. And then the
and
spirit.
Then it's like, hey, stab yourself. Huh?
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, you wouldn't just think, hey, I'm going to stab myself now with a knife.
Yeah.
No.
Oh. It's
Absolutely
so
not.
strange.
Mm-mm. Sam and Colby, during their video, they actually caught the killer retracing their steps by setting off different devices that they brought. So they have a REM pod. And they would be moving the REM pod, and on the REM pod itself, they have different lights. And they would point them in the direction of what the traces of what he did.
Yeah.
And there was flashlights that they're like the police flashlights that you'd actually have to turn on and off in order to use them. And they're really good for actually connecting with spirits, like a yes or no type thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, was your name so-and-so? And they would say yes or no.
Okay.
So for a yes, they would say turn it on. For a no, they would say turn it off.
Okay.
But after they were in the room, the flashlights were going back and forth.
I think I remember seeing that video. I don't remember if I watched it or what, but I think I'm not vividly. I have inklings of remembering it, maybe. We'll link it if you guys want to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched Bailey Sarian's video on this. That's the one I watched just to get a little bit of knowledge, but she didn't really talk about the paranormal stuff.
I was more into the paranormal stuff because of Sam and Colby, and then some of their friends have another paranormal channel. Yeah. And I watched their video too, and they use dowsing rods.
Okay, yeah, the little guys that...
And somebody was sitting in the chair with the dowsing rods in his hand.
Yeah.
And he was asking questions, and I think one of the questions that he asked is, where did one of the murders take place? And it pointed to the bed.
Okay.
No shit.
Okay.
It directly, like, went. And he asked,
Yeah.
what was it? Where are one of the axe marks on the wall?
Mm-hmm. And it went.
It went.
Okay. See, this is my skeptical
I know.
brain, though.
I know.
Because dowsing rods, Spencer Henry, my favorite podcaster, he did a video, I think it was on the Queen Mary.
Probably, yeah.
And they were using dowsing rods. And with every little move he made, he's kind of skeptical on this stuff, too. Every little move he made, the dowsing rods would kind of shake.
Right.
So I was like, okay, dowsing rods.
It was crazy. That went straight in the direction, though. It wasn't like a little slight thing. It was like, boom.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. You have to be incredibly still to use dowsing rods.
And he was.
Yeah. Okay.
So, where I have come to this conclusion is that I think that Henry Lee Moore did do it.
Okay.
But I think that after he left, I think that Reverend George Kelly was the one that did all the sexual pleasuring.
Okay.
So, I think that Henry Lee Moore scoped out the house beforehand, knew that there was a family living in it, because that's kind of his MO.
Yeah.
He went to the house, did the murders. They don't even know where he was hiding. I personally think that he was in the attic.
Okay, yeah. I think he definitely would have, like, there was no signs of break-in or anything.
No.
Okay.
But during that time,
It was a lot safer that time.
it was a lot safer. They would leave doors unlocked. They would leave doors open. They don't know how they
Yeah. I think
got
it's
in, but
very possible that he could have been just chilling
in the house.
in the
and
house.
waiting. And they were next to train tracks.
Okay.
So it was kind of easy to,
If he was a
if he would
railroad
wait
worker.
for a train to go and walk around the house.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
I think after Henry Lee Miller left is when Reverend Kelly, because he was scoping out the Stillinger girls, I think that he saw him leave or something happened. He was
Yeah.
planning on going there anyway and did
Yeah.
the gross stuff.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from. I'm definitely leaning a little more towards Reverend Kelly.
He
seems weird. He was weird. And the things he was saying, that just makes me lean towards him a little more.
But if you think about it, if he saw the bodies, he could have easily said it. So he could have been covering for the guy.
He could have been. You're right.
They could have been in on it together.
They could have been. Is there any, like, notes you heard of them knowing each other in any way?
I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
But if even after Miller left, or what's his name? Yeah, Moore.
Yeah.
Even after he left, there's still time in between. Murder said to happen about midnight.
Okay.
There's time in between.
Yeah.
I would say probably like 3 a.m., 4 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
and the time that they were found.
Definitely.
But if he was said to have left about 5 the next morning,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, there's so many different angles that you could take
There
from this.
is a lot of angles. I definitely don't think it was the state senator.
I don't think so either.
Or Blackie.
No.
They just seem very far away. These last two were really sus.
Big time sus.
And everything. So.
And even Reverend Kelly was said to have dropped off a bloody shirt.
Oh.
To get washed.
Okay.
So. There's another thing that leans against Kelly, but.
Yeah.
Like I said, it can go either way. Both of them could have been on it. Both of them, what if neither of them did it? There could have been another.
There could have been. Here we go with these unsolved murders.
It's still unsolved to this day.
Yeah.
And they honestly really can't do anything about it now.
No, it's so old. It is 100 years old.
It's 100 years
over
old.
100. It's like 110 years old.
And it's still unsolved. Everybody's touched the murder weapon.
I mean, everybody from the case is beyond dead, too.
And people have all been into the house.
Yeah.
Doing
The house is
investigations.
a tourist site.
It is a tourist site, and
For
it's
$10.
$10.
$10. You can go to the
Uh-huh.
Villisca Axe Murder house.
And believe it or not, they don't do advertising. It's all word of mouth.
Okay.
Yep. So, and they still get a crap ton of business if you think about it.
They do. I was like, shoot, how far away is this from us?
Mm-hmm. And if they don't do their own advertising, they're still getting this much business.
Yeah.
That says how well known this case is.
It is. I had seen Bailey's video on this beforehand, but I didn't remember it until you said, this is what I want to do this week. And then I rewatched everything on it. So
I would highly suggest you watch the ghost videos on it.
I think I'm also a big Sam and Colby fan. I think I've seen it, but sometimes their videos blur together a little bit for me because there is a lot of them.
There is a lot.
So.
I will,
Everything will be linked for you guys to peek into if you want to. We'll link the website for the house. And there will be pictures.
There will be pictures. On the website of the Villisca house, they have all of the suspects. I think there was even more suspects listed. But
I think there was, but these are the main guys.
The history of the house, what happened the day of. We'll list the videos that I was talking about. Because Sam and Colby didn't do the dowsing rods. That was a completely different.
Yeah.
But they're friends.
They are. Was it Corey?
One of them's Elton. I know that.
Oh, is it TFIL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't think of the channel name to save my life. But
I think that's what the channel name is.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But when they went to the house, they got a tour guide, which his name is Johnny. And he gave them the whole laydown of the house and said that 90% of the activity happens upstairs.
Okay.
And you can frequently hear people walking downstairs when there's nobody there.
Oh, boy.
The tour guide would be doing some housekeeping and all that stuff at night, and he would think that somebody broke in. He thought a kid broke in one night.
It was just them hanging out.
Went to open the door where he thought the guy was.
Yeah.
Nobody was there. It's creepy.
It is creepy. Even though I'm skeptic, I'm still such a jumpy person.
I am too.
That, like, I can't even do research some nights without starting to hear things. So even like this, I'm like, well, now I'm not going to drive home and it's literally noon.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Who do you think did it?
I know. Tell us on Instagram.
Tell us on Instagram. Tell us on Twitter.
Yep, like we plugged. Do you have any axe murder stories? No.
Do you have any cases you want us to cover?
That too, yeah.
Any topics at all?
Let us know.
Yeah.
We are very open.
We're open. We just want to talk.
We do. Our ramblings.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
And see you in the next one.
See you next week.